Before the Hive's night cycle lifts, the queue already coils 3 levels around St. Undine's Medicae node. Marta Kellion stands with her daughter Sarah pressed against her hip, the child's ribs sharp beneath threadbare cloth. The air carries antiseptic oils and the metallic tang of recycled atmosphere. Vox altars murmur hymns about duty and flesh. The clinic doors inhale, one family at a time. Inside, each injection produces 2 histories. Marta approaches the scanner with practiced resignation. The machine reads her identity chit, HAB block assignment, productivity metrics, caloric allocation, printing a ribbon of her civic worth. A second device, caged in brass and blessed with purity seals, issues a different tape. Fewer words, more numbers, volumes and indices that serve purposes unstated. 2 ledgers, one called care, one pointed elsewhere. Medicae adept Krell works the treatment line with tired precision. He swabs Sarah's arm, mutters the short blessing, drives the needle home. Above him, a servo skull hovers like a mechanical cherub, its omnispex iris clicking as it counts milliliters dispensed. Simultaneously, a thin tube siphons a measured sample through a side channel into a glass reservoir marked Biotithe Reserve. The collection lamp above ticks green with each contribution. On the wall hangs a cabinet sealed with red wax and purity marks, special dispensation. A keyhole beneath bears warnings in 3 languages. The queue learns what not to see. Sister Hospitaller Aridia moves between benches, touching foreheads, binding ritual to routine. Her voice makes arithmetic sound like consolation. 1 drop to the throne, she intones, 1 life preserved to serve. The citizens repeat it because repetition costs less than hope. Arbitrator Locke watches from the corner, visor blank, shock maul sheathed but ready. He monitors for forged chits, stamp evaders, signs of unrest. Order wraps the clinic like sterile gauze. Above them all, Magos Biologist Voren occupies his glass gallery, chrome and cables interfacing with the facility's machine spirits. His mechadendrites audit cooling systems and purity protocols, while processing throughput statistics in binary cont. Efficiency is his sacrament. Marta observes each step as her turn arrives. The injection, then the stamp. Krell presses heated brass against Sarah's palm, leaving an inkless sigil that appears grey and cool. "Proof of compliant care," reads a placard, "fades in 6 hours." Yet Marta has seen stamps that kindle long after treatment, glowing faintly as if answering questions only cogitators can ask. This is the thesis the queue understands without words. In the Hive, medical care operates on credit. The clinic advances capacity into failing bodies so the manufactorums continue running. Payment is extracted elsewhere, through mechanisms not yet comprehended. Sarah extends her thin arm. Identity chits kiss scanners. The servo skull descends. Needle penetrates flesh while the siphon draws its tribute into the Biotithe Reserve. Krell applies the palm stamp with routine benediction. Minutes later, walking toward the exit, Sarah stares at her hand with solemn curiosity. "Mama," she whispers, "it's getting warm." The stamp glows faintly against her small palm, a coal beneath ash. Above the triage arch hangs a lacquered board of colors that governs pain and priority. Green means essential, turbine mechanics, bulk hauler pilots, augmetic line chiefs. Yellow means ordinary labor made reliable, hab scrubbers, stitchers, riveters. Red means surplus that still eats, children, the infirm, the debt-burdened. Black carries no explanation. Those chits slide patients behind curtains that seldom reopen. The administratum calls this mathematics. Productivity metrics, genetic markers, and social utility scores feed algorithms that translate human worth into medical resource allocation. The machine spirits calculate who deserves healing with mechanical precision. Marta's yellow chit grants mid-tier access. Sarah, being 7 and economically unproductive, receives red status automatically. The triage cogitator pings twice, once for presence, once for allocation, directing them to separate benches. Proximity is permitted. Equity is not. 3 patients illustrate the system's brutal efficiency. A guild merchant's son arrives wrapped in stitched leather and family insignia. His green chit bypasses the main queue entirely. In a private chamber, Medicae Adept Krell retrieves sealed vials marked with purity ribbons and high Gothic labels. Pure synthesized compounds flow through single-use syringes, while no bioteeth siphon attaches. The servo-skull logs 0 reclamation and drifts away. Marta's turn arrives hours later. Krell draws from amber racks marked Standard Nutrient Complex, Lot 63. The needle connects through a Y branch, one line to her vein, another to the biotithe reserve. The dose bears machine spirit approvals and the familiar aftertaste of sour metal. Yellow receives exactly what productivity calculations determine necessary. No more, no less. A sump worker stumbles in, boots slick with reclaim, radiation burns weeping through bandages. His red chit earns an oil pencil slash that downgrades him further. R Delta. Krell pierces a flex bag labeled Recycled Batch, Dilution Index 0.72. Cloudy fluid flows while the biotithe siphon draws proportionally more. Red status means greater contribution to the reserve. This is resource allocation rendered as sacrament. Cogitators transcribe wage sheets into health curves, assign probability of return on treatment, deliver weekly dosage quotas to Magos Voron's gallery. Green receives the clean margin, yellow the maintainable average, red the remaindered mix that satisfies statistics. Sister Iridia maintains the human record in her brass-bound flesh ledger, its edges dark with oil and blessing wax. Each page documents treatments dispensed alongside biological samples, collected, palm stamp thermal responses, and cryptic notations serving purposes beyond healing. AST prelim flagged appears beside certain names. Fecundity modulation candidate marks others. Numbers track extraction volumes, genetic compatibility indices, behavioral modification responses. The ledger reveals dual purpose. Surface medicine masks deeper harvesting. Every injection feeds multiple systems, immediate treatment, surveillance networks, biological resource extraction, population management protocols. The servo skulls audit human potential itself. Arbitrator Locke patrols the color-coded queues, ensuring classification compliance. Magos Voron processes throughput data through matrices that balance resource expenditure against productivity returns. Flesh becomes data, becomes policy, becomes control. Sarah's red chit ensures minimum survival allocation, while her small body contributes disproportionately to biotithe quotas. The palm stamp burns brighter, lasting longer, carrying heavier surveillance markers than her mother's yellow designation. The hierarchy operates with mechanical precision. Color determines destiny. The needle finds its target regardless, but what flows through and what flows back depends entirely on algorithmic calculations of imperial worth. Medicae Adept Krell begins each shift blessing 300 syringes, while servo skulls deliver overnight supply canisters, marked with Mechanicus seals. The ritual never varies. Antiseptic wash, purity verification, compartmentalized ignorance. 23 years have taught him which questions serve no purpose. Each injection carries dual cargo. Standard vials advertise nutrients and antibiotics, but secondary compounds remain classified under Magos Voron's sealed protocols. Loyalty-enhancing psychotropics suppress dissent while promoting imperial devotion. Fertility regulators manage reproduction according to Hab density calculations. Behavioral modification agents reduce aggression while increasing workplace docility. Krell administers hundreds of doses without knowing their complete composition. Knowledge is compartmentalized. Compliance is universal. The dependency operates through calculated half-lives. Mood stabilizers fade after 72 hours. Appetite regulators after 5 days. Sleep obedience compounds after 14. Citizens who miss cycles return with tremors, intrusive thoughts, and the brittle-edge work gangs call riot hum. After treatment, the hum fades. Production resumes. Eyes go dull at the corners. The clinic becomes essential infrastructure, like atmosphere processing or waste reclamation. Preparation follows sacred protocol. Sister Aridia consecrates each batch, tapping stoppers with bone reliquaries while murmuring chemical formulas disguised as prayers. Servo skulls sweep trays with omnispec sensors, confirming spectral signatures against cogitator recipes Krell cannot access. Green lumens authorize dispensation. The siphon manifold awakens with hydraulic whispers. The biotithe reserve draws measured samples from every dose, not waste, but harvest. Krell observes the second fluid stream, the one that ends in glass vessels rather than veins. He does not ask why reserve levels must never fall below brass scribe lines, or why overfill alarms route to loading bays. The machine spirits handle such complexities. Red Seal vials require choreographed authorization. Sister Aridia's signet and Magos Voron's mechadendrite turn together, breaking wax seals on containers marked Fecundity Modulation Protocol. The liquid glows violet under warding lamps, bearing Binharic labels, FECMOD designations, and Hab density indices. Recipients are predominantly women from overcrowded blocks, hands chapped by reclaim acids, faces drawn by ration mathematics. Krell administers preventive care without questioning outcomes. The Red Seal protocol operates under strict quotas tied to population sustainability models. These compounds taste metallic, bitter, with effects patients describe as cooling from within. Palm stamps burn brighter after Red Seal administration, suggesting enhanced surveillance protocols. The biotithe reserve fills faster when these vials open, their molecular complexity requiring greater extraction volumes. Krell's ignorance is systematically maintained. He signs treatment logs without reading Sister Aridia's marginal notations about AST prelim flagged patients or fecundity modulation candidates. Those designations summon visitors who bypass normal cues entirely. The chemistry of compliance functions through distributed blindness. Each participant sees only assigned fragments, while complete pictures remain classified. Krell administers treatments, citizens receive injections, authorities extract compliance. The system operates through willing unconsciousness, healing and harvesting, care and control, medicine and surveillance flowing through the same needles. Every injection serves multiple masters. The compounds build dependency while extracting submission. In the Hive, chemistry becomes, policy becomes routine, becomes invisible. The siphon draws its tribute. The reserve accumulates. The cycle continues with mechanical precision. The palm stamp contains no ink, only an obedient lattice of reactive compounds, pressed into flesh and sealed with prayer. Under ordinary light, it appears grey and dormant. Under cogitator interrogation, it awakens, fluorescing in narrow spectral bands, while releasing trace heat as it transmits compliance data. Citizens call it the warm mark. The administratum calls it distributed surveillance infrastructure. Each stamp embeds biomarker panels calibrated to detect metabolic signatures associated with nascent psychers, genetic deviations, and prohibited substances. Remote scanners conduct continuous population monitoring through stamp signal triangulation, tracking vitals, stress hormones, and nutritional deficiencies via dermal chemistry analysis. The palm becomes a biological beacon broadcasting imperial compliance status across vast distances. More sinisterly, the compounds identify psychic emergence through cortisol elevation patterns and neural electrical fluctuations. The Adeptus Astra Telepathica maintains monitoring stations throughout the sector, their cogitators perpetually scanning stamp signals for warp sensitivity markers. Exceeded thresholds trigger fever audits, door-to-door verification operations conducted under medical pretense by Arbeits patrols, accompanied by telepathic adepts. Data flows through AST prelim channels that bypass normal administrative hierarchies. Sister Iridia's flesh ledger records thermal responses alongside cryptic notations. Metabolic anomaly, monitor, appears beside certain names. These entries route through secured conduits to telepathica listening posts, where augurs compare biological readings against ancient danger curves. When patterns match prescribed profiles, black ship collection operations are scheduled with clinical efficiency. Sarah's stamp has warmed continuously for 3 days, glowing intermittently against her small palm. Marta initially suspected infection, but the pattern suggests active scanning rather than immune response. The child exhibits no fever or inflammation, only the steady heat of surveillance apparatus responding to distant queries. In Magos Voren's gallery, a thin green rune illuminates beside her daughter's designation. Arbitrator Locke receives scheduling updates for district-wide audits. The surveillance network operates parallel to resource extraction. While cogitators monitor biological compliance, loaders transfer sloshing biotithe reserves into shock crates bearing off-world shipping manifests. Marta glimpsed one such document tucked beneath ration chits, rejuvenate synthesis, noble consignment. The connection crystallizes with horrifying clarity. Citizens' blood sustains aristocratic longevity, while surveillance apparatus monitors their compliance. Guild charter agreements facilitate this exploitation through the pharmaceutical cartels serving imperial nobility. Biotithe collection provides raw materials for life extension treatments, while palm stamps ensure no biological resource escapes documentation. The system operates through willing blindness, healing disguised as harvesting, care transformed into control, medicine indistinguishable from surveillance. Sarah's stamp pulses with mechanical rhythm now, synchronized to external scanning protocols beyond local oversight. Her metabolic signature suggests genetic deviation or nascent psychic potential, both requiring specialized assessment by authority who operate from the void. In the night market beneath transit arches, whispers speak of clean palms and cooling solves that silence stamps during pylon queries. The prices demand everything. The alternatives promise worse. Marta studies her daughter's glowing poem and calculates costs no chapel arithmetic ever taught. Tomorrow she will seek clinics that leave no mark, no ledger, no prayer. The night market gathers beneath transit pylons, where condensation drips like mechanical tears. Marta follows chalk sigils, a needle crossed with void marks, through service tunnels until she finds Kess operating from a converted maintenance alcove. No imperial eagles adorn his walls, no servo skulls monitor his work, no biotithe siphons await tribute. The chirurgeon offers what desperate families call clean injections, medical care that leaves no mark, no ledger, no prayer. Kess examines Sarah's glowing palm stamp with augmetic cynicism, his scarred fingers probing the reactive compounds beneath her skin. 3 days active scanning, he mutters. Telepathica interest, expensive to disappear. His price reflects shadow market brutality. 2 months of ration chits, Marta's grandmother's brass chronometer, and future informant services, patrol schedules, neighbor compliance reports, locations of competing dry clinics. The shadow economy operates through desperate arithmetic. Counterfeit pharmaceuticals cost 8 times official rates because synthesis requires hidden laboratories and smuggled precursors. Forged health certificates demand bribes to records clerks who risk execution for falsification. Every transaction carries survival premiums extracted from families who trade heirlooms, sexual favors, and betrayals for unmarked flesh. Around them hang night market innovations spawned by surveillance pressure. Palm coolers, crude electromagnetic devices claiming to mask stamp thermal signatures, dangle beside cooling salves and dermal scramblers. Kess demonstrates one on Sarah's hand, copper coils humming while her stamp dims to barely visible grey. 12 hours maximum, he warns. Then it burns brighter from interference. Cogitators learn. They always learn. Avoidance creates cascading survival taxes. Citizens who miss official treatments lose ration priority as compliance scores degrade. Work assignments shift to hazardous sectors where supervision increases and life expectancy plummets. Housing allocations deteriorate. Educational access evaporates. The system punishes evasion through systematic degradation of imperial citizenship benefits. More dangerous still, Arbeits patrols conduct random palm scans during transit checks. Cool stamps trigger detention, while missing stamps warrant summary execution for medical sedition. Families caught using dry clinics face collective punishment. Parents to penal labor, children to servitor conversion, property to administratum seizure. Kess prepares his counterfeit injection from unmarked vials, their contents murky with industrial solvents and diluted nutrients. No blessing sanctifies the mixture. No purity seals guarantee safety. No biotithe siphon draws tribute. The syringe bites flesh, while servo school mimics drone overhead, recording nothing, reporting to no one. Clean medicine, Kess announces, for those who can afford invisibility. Marta calculates costs while watching Sarah's stamp pulse beneath the cooler's influence. Official treatment means surveillance and potential black ship collection. Shadow medicine means financial ruin, constant fear, and probable discovery. Both paths lead toward destruction, one through compliance, one through resistance. The injection flows without ceremony. Sarah's palm dims under electromagnetic interference, while the chronometer disappears into Kess's collection pouch. Outside, Chapel vox casters announce evening devotions at St. Undine's, attendance commendable for the faithful. Avoidance has its price. The accounting will explain why compliance serves better masters than hope. Evening devotions gather the district into St. Undine's nave, a chapel grafted onto the clinic like sanctified scar tissue. Attendance is monitored. Ration priority depends on presence. Sister Hospitaller Aridia raises a reliquary forged from blessed autoclave components, her voice carrying across ferrocrete, worn smooth by desperate knees. One drop to the throne, one life to the Emperor, one body to the Imperium. Hundreds respond, palm stamps glowing faintly in the dim light. The litany of needles transforms medical compliance into sacred obligation. The consecration ritual follows ancient protocols adapted for industrial necessity. Sister Aridia anoints each syringe with holy oils, while servo-skulls record thermal signatures of faith made manifest. Biotithe reserves receive individual blessing. Glass vessels touched with aquila sigils as she intones prayers that sanctify extraction as offering. What flows from the faithful strengthens those who bear the burdens of rule. The congregation bows, while few observe how full the reserves already stand. Her homily weaves doctrine through brutal arithmetic. Treatment becomes vow, refusal becomes heresy, and sedition combined. Magos biologis. Voren observes from his gallery, mechadendrites whispering binary benedictions. Arbitrator Locke maintains position beside the exit, his presence explaining compliance better than any sermon. The institutional triangle operates through distributed authority. Mechanicus efficiency, ecclesiarchy justification, Arbeits enforcement. Behind ceremonial screens, the selection machinery operates with quiet precision. Sister Aridia consults administratum data slates bearing Hab density indices, work quotas, and genetic assessments. Red Seal recipients are chosen through algorithms that balance population sustainability against resource allocation models. She traces names with stylus, blessed for administrative sacraments, cross-referencing metabolic profiles with housing overcrowding reports. The Emperor selects, she tells petitioners. Her marks determine otherwise. Among women in subdivided cells and cramped dormitories, dangerous whispers spread faster than any hymn. Red Seal doses carry forbidden names, blessings of barrenness, mercy of the empty womb, the Emperor's gentle ending. They speak of treatments that cool from within, monthly cycles that cease, families prevented from exceeding economic sustainability thresholds. The rumors carry hope disguised as horror. Fewer mouths competing for rations, fewer children watching parents fail. Sister Aridia publicly dismisses such murmurs as heretical discord, her pastoral smile rigid when policy requires compassionate faces. Divine providence guides each blessing, she announces during evening prayers. Privately, she reviews priority lists ranking reproductive history and social utility scores, while cogitators calculate optimal intervention points. Faith provides moral camouflage for systematic population control. The spiritual framework operates through willing self-deception. Citizens accept medical compliance serves the throne, while extraction serves nobility. They recite liturgies about sacrifice while surrendering biological autonomy. They kneel before altars that disguise surveillance apparatus as sacred architecture. Compliance becomes prayer, becomes routine, becomes invisible. After devotions conclude, notices circulate, bearing Sister Aridia's personal signet. Marta receives hers with trembling fingers, parchment warm from recent blessing, words precise as scalpel cuts. Her daughter qualifies for enhanced preventive care based on metabolic assessment and divine guidance. The appointment is mandatory. The selection is complete. Sarah's palm stamp pulses with renewed intensity, responding to authorization protocols embedded within the notification. The needle awaits its designated flesh. Vox casters declare preventive health emergency at shift change. Thousands flood St. Undine's corridors, while enforcers establish cordons with shock mauls humming. Marta grips Sarah's hand as the crowd carries them forward through passages never designed for such volume. Emergency protocols demand immediate compliance. No exemptions, no delays. Systems strain beyond capacity. Power fluctuations knock lumens offline, while cold storage units wail, ice fog spilling from cracked seals. Biotithe reserves overflow their brass scribe lines, emergency pumps engaging with hydraulic screams. Sister Aridia's flesh ledger bleeds red marginalia. Critical deficits, impossible quotas, shipments overdue. Magos Voren reroutes power through his gallery, while servo skulls recalculate shelf lives in urgent binary. An infant stops breathing after injection, tiny chest motionless in its mother's arms. Sister Aridia breaks formation, her signet snapping red seal wax as she retrieves emergency compounds. "Seal that cabinet," Arbitrator Locke commands, visor blank, authority absolute, no unauthorized dispensation. Mercy collides with regulation, while the crowd watches institutional fractures spread. Enforcers move, hands collide. The tray pitches, red seal vials shattering across ferrocrete. Violet liquid spreads, labels spinning visible. FECMOD7, gonadotropin suppression, uterine lining atrophy. Not enhanced medicine, but systematic sterilization. The blessing of barrenness lies exposed in chemical puddles. Understanding spreads faster than panic. Women scream about stolen futures while the crowd surges against barriers. Magos Voren opens emergency siphon protocols, extraction multipliers climbing as dangerous volumes flow from every arm to meet biotithe quotas. Citizens collapse pale as wax, while servo skulls log compliance with serene approval. Palm stamps ignite across the crowd, thousands of grey sigils flaring white-hot. A ST prelim channels choke on data overflow, while telepathica thresholds trip sector-wide. Blast doors crash shut, shearing pressure waves into convulsing masses. Prayer becomes screaming, becomes prayer again. Behind the chaos, servitors work with purposeful quiet. Shock crates marked off-world consignment, rejuvenate synthesis roll through service portals, while the congregation pounds locked exits. The biotithe harvest continues despite crisis, noble longevity treatments departing, as citizens discover their blood's true destination. Marta tries lifting Sarah, but bodies pin them. The child's stamp burns like a coal against her small palm. "Mama," she whispers, not from pain, but wonder at the heat. Around them, the queue continues moving with mechanical precision, while extraction curves climb toward compliance. Voren's gallery dims as power diverts to containment. The doors hold, the crates depart, the ledgers demand balance, and the needle finds its next arm with inexorable efficiency. The flesh ledger balances not against bandages and antiseptic, but against distant accounts coded in high Gothic and script numerals. Each drop to the throne, extracted from desperate flesh, serves dual masters, the fiction of local healing and the reality of aristocratic longevity. Administratum auditors read ratios, not pulses. For every 1,000 compliant arms, 92 ampules of stabilized plasma precursor are realized after refinement losses. The clinic's operating budget remains threadbare. Gauze re-rolled, solvents watered, equipment patched with prayer wire. While biotithe revenues flow through sanctioned channels marked Rejuvenate Synthesis, Noble Consignment. Follow the economic chain from St. Undine's rear bay. Shock crates travel by service lift to shielded shuttle pads, manifests blessed by cogitator stamp and Sister Iridia's signet. In orbit, guild hospital barges receive the harvest, where pharmaco-adepts chant over centrifuges. Raw biotithe becomes fraction, then concentrate, then crystal phials, scarlet gold ampules, vacuum-locked and embossed with spire crests. Price: more than a worker's lifetime wages per dose. Indication: senescence mitigation, tiered entitlement. The moral arithmetic operates through perfect inversion. Down Hive, Marta's neighbors surrender blood to survive ration cuts. Up Spire, magistrates receive 3 drops under perfumed air. Liver spots paling, while attendants murmur about governance continuity. The same ledger demanding increased siphon multipliers records, improved noble vigor as civic stability. Red Seal contraceptive programs maintain optimal population density through systematic sterilization disguised as enhanced care. Families exceeding housing allocations, genetic profiles deemed substandard, or productivity metrics falling below thresholds receive preventive treatment designed to eliminate future generations. The blessing of barrenness operates through calculated mercy. Fertility termination presented as relief from poverty's burden. Each prevented birth reduces resource competition while maintaining extraction capacity. Sarah's continuous palm stamp surveillance now reveals its dual purpose, monitoring biological potential for long-term harvest, while her family's overcrowded Hab assignment qualified her for reproductive termination. Every injection would have served multiple masters: immediate compliance, surveillance data, biological tribute, genetic elimination. Magos Voron's production quotas correspond to off-world rejuvenate demand rather than local medical necessity. His dashboards optimize biotech outflow to fund patronage-securing research grants and maintenance contracts. The clinic's failing cold storage remains unrepaired, while hospital barge chill vaults expand. Sister Iridia's blessing ceremonies sanctify extraction disguised as healing. Arbitrator Locke maintains order, while biological wealth flows upward through imperial hierarchy. The system's institutional language completes the deception. After the crisis, official reports read, "Enhanced preventive care administered without incident. Compliance exemplary. No mention appears of shattered vials or women screaming at violet puddles, revealing systematic sterilization. The ledger records only quotas met, consignments shipped, stability preserved. Everything else becomes noise, edited out before the next injection. The accounting proves immaculate through perfect exploitation. Citizens pay with flesh for treatments benefiting others. Their blood extends noble lifespans, while their bodies fail through engineered dependency. Mercy becomes population control. Healing enables systematic theft. The body serves as coin, the clinic as mint, the creed as receipt for transactions serving not the emperor, but his bureaucrats' comfort. Official records show no crisis occurred. Data slates display sanitized entries. Enhanced preventive care initiative. Exemplary compliance achieved. The shattered Red Seal vials become inventory variants. Screaming crowds transform into elevated participation metrics. Sister Iridia's commendation reads, exceptional pastoral guidance during routine health maintenance. Arbitrator Locke receives efficiency ratings for crowd management excellence. The administratum's memory operates through selective editing. Uncomfortable truths disappear into data purges, while institutional fictions calcify into administrative fact. Corridors smell of industrial solvents and blessed oils, the odor of an episode systematically erased. Servo skulls patrol with recording apparatus sealed, their memory banks purged of violet puddles and desperate faces. New shift rotations ensure no staff member works consecutive days, fragmenting witness testimony through scheduled amnesia. Marta carries knowledge that burns like promethium in her chest. Her daughter's enhanced care was designed to sterilize, not heal. The Red Seal compounds contained systematic reproductive termination disguised as mercy. Yet around her, colleagues discuss production quotas and weather patterns as if institutional horror never pooled on ferrocrete floors. Speaking becomes sedition. Remembering too clearly invites scrutiny. The silence spreads more efficiently than any contagion. Medicae adept Krell survives through practiced dissociation, constructing internal barriers between action and meaning. He administers injections while reciting dosage tables until images dull. The syringe becomes sterile tool rather than weapon of exploitation. Patients transform into statistics requiring processing rather than humans deserving healing. His hands work with mechanical precision, while his conscience retreats to spaces where needles carry salvation instead of systematic harm. Professional competence requires emotional amputation. Distributed complicity preserves institutional function through willful blindness. Sister Iridia leads evening prayers without mentioning shattered vials or women discovering their stolen fertility. Magos Voren processes biotithe quotas without referencing emergency extraction protocols that drained citizens pale as parchment. Each participant maintains healing fiction through practiced detachment, creating cycles of violence disguised as bureaucratic routine. New patients arrive daily, unaware of recent revelations. They queue with desperate hope, while staff members perform mercy theater through empty reassurances and blessed syringes. The palm stamps glow, the biotithe flows, the flesh ledger balances. Everything continues because forgetting serves institutional preservation better than memory serves truth. Whispered intelligence filters through service conduits about similar health emergencies occurring across multiple Hive districts. Sector Gamma experienced preventive care enhancement following identical protocols. District Tertius received metabolic stabilization initiatives using synchronized shipping manifests. The pattern reveals coordinated population management rather than isolated crisis. Systematic sterilization implemented Hive-wide through medical authority. Reproductive capacity eliminated at industrial scale, while official records celebrate efficient healthcare delivery. Sarah's palm stamp pulses with renewed intensity. Surveillance apparatus, continuing its watch over compliant flesh. The crisis never happened. The treatment continues. The accounting demands balance, and institutional memory erases everything, except the needle's inexorable advance toward its next designated arm. St. Undine operates as node U19 within a lattice that spans the Hive like neural wire. Communication logs expose the mesh. Circular 44C adjusts color-chit ratios when manufactorum output falters, while 12/theta revises red seal quotas after housing audits reveal overcrowding. Policy travels faster than blood through encrypted Vox channels marked Population Sustainability Coordination. The Office of Population Equilibrium transmits daily triage thresholds, while AST prelim telemetry feeds surveillance data to Adeptus Astra Telepathica relays. 17 sister facilities operate identical protocols across the sector. The horror crystallizes through systematic revelation. Sarah was never malnourished. Her nutritional deficiency emerged through deterministic caloric restriction, rations reduced by precisely 12% over 6 months, while metabolic suppressants entered water reclamation systems. The artificial starvation created clinical indicators justifying Red Seal intervention. Medical necessity was manufactured to enable reproductive termination and genetic sampling. Her palm stamp flagged genetic anomalies that existed only in algorithmic projections designed to identify elimination targets. Every injection serves a compound purpose within this silent factory of human processing. Treatment provides the necessary fiction. Nutrients and antibiotics maintain worker productivity. Behavioral modification operates through mood stabilizers and aggression dampers, ensuring docility. Genetic sampling draws biological material for compatibility indices and breeding program assessment. Fertility control deploys targeted compounds, managing birth rates in specific demographics. Loyalty assessment tracks palm stamp response curves, cross-referenced with sermon attendance and productivity metrics. Resource extraction logs biotithe volumes against shipment schedules serving off-world pharmaceutical cartels. The network extends through orbital hospital barges operating under guild charter. Their pharmaco-adepts fractionating citizen blood into scarlet gold rejuvenate ampules destined for spire towers and administratum retreats. Profit returns as maintenance grants ring-fenced for quota enforcement, never patient comfort. Down Hive refrigerators fail, while up-spire chill vaults expand. The accounting proves immaculate through perfect exploitation. Marta traces the institutional coordination. Administratum clerks adjust rations based on clinic recommendations. Housing authorities relocate families to overcrowded blocks requiring enhanced care. Work supervisors report metrics triggering medical interventions. The system anticipates resistance and budgets against it through distributed complicity. Circular. Packages instruct Sister Iridia to emphasize sacrifice when ration riots trend upward, while Arbitrator Locke receives patrol overlays, positioning enforcers along volatile Q segments. This represents not overt violence, but systematic commodification, operating with industrial efficiency. The Imperium manages human resources through medical authority, ensuring optimal productivity while eliminating genetic undesirables and political dissidents. Bodies function as renewable assets, generating multiple revenue streams: blood for rejuvenate synthesis, reproductive capacity for population optimization, genetic material for research programs, behavioral compliance for social stability. The true scope encompasses millions across hundreds of worlds, all surrendering biological essence to sustain systems exploiting them. Medical care becomes population control, becomes resource extraction, becomes social engineering. The network hums with mechanical precision, processing human biology through institutional apparatus that describes every cut as mercy. Sarah's manufactured illness was merely an entry point into this horrifyingly efficient machine, designed to ensure populations remain manageable, productive, and compliant. The needle finds its target with inexorable precision, while the ledger balances human suffering against institutional profit across the void. Desperation births markets like infection breeds in wounds, beneath transit pylons where condensation falls like mechanical tears. The counter-serum economy thrives on systematic cruelty's aftermath. Kess operates from deeper shadows now, his alcove fortified with scavenged blast plate, while servo-skull scramblers hum overhead. His inventory expands with hope's derivatives, fertility restorers in amber vials claiming to reverse red seal sterilization, palm coolers promising thermal invisibility, genetic purifiers for children flagged with manufactured anomalies. The catalog reveals predatory innovation. Fertility restorers contain crude hormone cocktails synthesized from reclaim rat glands and industrial solvents, pituitary agonists that trigger hemorrhaging, progesterone analogues causing organ failure, adrenal boosters inducing psychotic episodes. Labels promise monthly return blessing and Emperor's gift restored in broken low Gothic while delivering violent mood swings, internal bleeding, or stillbirths. Most are sugar water and prayer oil. The dangerous ones cost more. Palm coolers hang like tarnished charms, copper coils wound around blessed wire, electromagnetic devices claiming to mask stamp thermal signatures during AST prelim queries. 12 hours of function before burning brighter than before. Genetic scrubbers promise elimination of hereditary surveillance markers through synthetic compounds that taste of copper and regret. Success rates hover near statistical noise, while prices quadruple weekly. The arithmetic of resistance operates through blood and betrayal. Martyr witnesses a father offering literal plasma donation to audit clerks, weekly draws for 6 months in exchange for removing his daughter from Red Seal lists. His emaciated frame reveals the price, while her name remains unchanged in administrative databases. The system accepts tribute without honoring implied contracts. Compliance flows upward, while promises dissolve into bureaucratic void. Arbeitsraids multiply against fecundity saboteurs. Families caught attempting reproductive restoration now routed directly to penal legions or servitor conversion. Patrol schedules intensify around chirurgeon territories, while informant networks expand through ration incentives. Citizens report neighbors purchasing counter-serums in exchange for improved food allocations. The shadow economy creates survival taxes, inflated prices reflecting risk premiums, dangerous counterfeits causing more harm than official treatments, constant fear transforming every transaction into potential execution warrant. You can't cheat the machine spirit, Kess observes with bitter amusement while polishing scavenged Omnispecs components. But you can make it count slower. His clients laugh, because screaming serves no better purpose. The humor emerges from futility. Resistance technology never outpaces oppression apparatus. Coolers provide minutes of thermal masking before cogitators adapt, scanning for absence rather than presence. The machine spirits learn faster than desperation innovates. Marta returns with ration chits and her grandmother's brass chronometer, trading lifetime savings for liquid lies. Kess demonstrates his latest poem, Cooler. Localized electromagnetic field scrambling stamp signals for precious minutes. Enough to pass random patrol scans, insufficient for targeted audits. The device functions until AST prelim adapts, then burns brighter than prayer can soothe. The counter-serum economy proves the system's perfect efficiency through its own futility. Every resistance attempt generates additional revenue streams while reinforcing surveillance apparatus. Hope becomes currency serving the same masters, crushing those who trade in it. The needle finds its arm regardless. When biotithe quotas fall into arrears, Clause 7 rectification protocols activate with bureaucratic precision. Summons arrive on parchment, warmed by chapel lamps. Voluntary donation convocation, civic duty compulsory. Citizens with black market treatment histories, genetic anomalies, or compliance deficiencies receive notification bearing Sister Iridia's signet and administratum seals. The word voluntary survives because language costs less to modify than policy. St. Undine's nave transforms overnight. Prayer benches disappear beneath ranked donation beds, while sedation servitors take positions beside Aquila-marked extraction stands. The air thickens with antiseptic oils and the metallic tang of processing equipment, centrifuges, plasma separators, molecular fractionators turning human blood into pharmaceutical precursors. Brass tally wheels click with each measured half-liter, while servo skulls log volumes against shipping quotas. Those unable to provide sufficient biological material face alternative contribution assessments. Data slates display yield expectations, calculated from weight, hematocrit, and behavioral reliability. Insufficient donors receive classification updates, servitor conversion for labor utility, organ harvesting for tissue compatibility, penal labor for political dissidents. The institutional logic operates through perfect efficiency. Bodies serve as renewable resources until exhausted, then become component parts. Sister Iridia moves between beds, offering final rites disguised as medical comfort. Her reliquary taps each collection tank, while she intones blessings over wrists she blessed weeks earlier during evening devotions. Families who sang litanies about sacrifice discover the accounting demands literal fulfillment. Her prayers become coping mechanisms against recognition of systematic complicity. Arbitrator Locke maintains order with dead eyes, his visor reflecting sterile extraction lamps. Detachments funnel bodies through intake with mechanical precision, while resistance earns neural pacification and 3-day penalties. Parents barter additional volumes, hoping to displace their children's appointments. The schedule accepts collateral, but never cancels debt. Magos Voren calibrates centrifuge machine spirits from his gallery, processing throughput statistics while peristaltic pumps sing hymns of industrial efficiency. Biotithe reserves overflow their brass scribe lines as extraction multipliers climb toward quotas ensuring off-world rejuvenate circuits remain adequately supplied. Marta watches processing lists scroll across data slates, searching for familiar names among the condemned. Sarah appears under genetic anomaly, priority extraction, while Palm stamp surveillance data routes automatically to black ship collection schedules. The child's manufactured malnutrition, artificial flagging, and systematic surveillance culminate in biological harvesting disguised as civic contribution. In scarcity regimes, medical facilities function as sorting houses determining who lives, who dies, who serves as component material for imperial machinery. The clinic's healing fiction dissolves into resource extraction reality. Bodies processed through institutional apparatus that describes every cut as mercy, every extraction as offering. The needle finds its designated target, while palm stamps pulse final surveillance signals toward monitoring stations. Sarah's name advances through processing queues as her stamp warms in mechanical response. The accounting demands balance, and equivalent flesh provides payment for quotas that serve masters beyond the throne. Before the Hive's night cycle lifts, the queue coils 3 levels around St. Undine's Medicae node. Marta Kellion stands where she began, but Sarah no longer presses against her hip with sharp ribs and desperate need. The child received her enhanced preventive care weeks ago, Red Seal compounds ensuring genetic compliance while preventing future generations. Systematic sterilization disguised as mercy, delivered through institutional authority that transformed healing into population control. The cyclical nature reveals itself through practiced blindness. New faces crowd the outer stairs, carrying infants and small hopes, whispering prayers about vitamins and better sleep. They do not know how compounds ride inside needles, like orders in liquid form, or what the siphon takes while promising care. They will learn when words like variance and quota enter their devotions, just as Marta learned the true cost of every injection. Each generation raises the next to accept medical dependency as normal, grateful for treatments that diminish their humanity. Citizens who survived Red Seal sterilization bring remaining children for preventive treatment, teaching submission through example. Those who discovered biotithe extraction serving noble rejuvenate circuits continue surrendering blood because resistance costs more than compliance. Healing and harming have become indistinguishable within machinery designed to extract maximum value from compliant flesh. Inside, the process moves with eternal precision. Scanner reads identity chits, Medicae administers doses, servo skulls count milliliters, while siphons draw tribute into biotithe reserves. Palm stamps warm in mechanical response to surveillance queries, carrying compounds that monitor biological compliance while routing data to collection schedules. Sister Iridia blesses each transaction, while arbitrator Locke maintains order. Magos Voran processes throughput statistics from his gallery, measuring human suffering against institutional profit. The flesh ledger records another entry in the economy of systematic exploitation. Treatment dispensed, biological material extracted, surveillance data collected, fertility controlled, compliance verified. Multiple revenue streams flow from each injection, while healing fiction preserves institutional legitimacy. Bodies serve as renewable resources until exhausted, then become component parts. Crates slide through rear doors under tarpaulin and oath, marked for off-world rejuvenate synthesis. The clinic remains short of dressings, while spire towers never lack youth. The accounting proves immaculate through perfect exploitation. Mercy becomes population control. Healing enables resource extraction. Medical authority facilitates systematic oppression. Sarah stands beside Marta now, palm stamp glowing steadily as surveillance apparatus monitors her compliance. She hums fragments of the litany of needles like lullabies. One drop to the throne, because ritual becomes anesthesia when repeated enough. The child watches her hand with solemn curiosity, unaware her warm mark routes to black ship. Collection schedules. The queue moves forward with mechanical efficiency, grinding hope into institutional power. In the Hive, every injection pays multiple masters. The body serves as coin, the clinic as mint, the faith as receipt for transactions that commodify flesh while claiming spiritual purpose. The needle finds its next arm, as it always has, as it always will. The eternal Q ensures renewable supply, while institutional amnesia erases each atrocity before the next cycle begins.